I had a cover letter with an application once saying, please do not phone me, the job centre told me to apply for this job. I swear. Because it's like a tick box exercise where they're having to actually apply for job seekers allowance. That's it. Yeah. So I've seen it all, and I was like, you know what, respect. I appreciate not wasting my time. I won't phone you.
What is the worst interview moment you've ever had?
I've had it recently, you know.
Recently?
Go to the interview and say, listen, I'm not actually interested in the job I've been put forward for. I want this as a bit of a stepping stone until next year when my business.
Oh my God.
When my business picks up in the summer next year.
Why would you say that? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Judge Reviews podcast, the show where Glasgow's entrepreneurs are in the hot seat and tell its story. Before we dive in, a big shout out to the legends who keep the show cooking. Steak Lounge and Grill, serving the juiciest cuts in the city. Spuddy's, the king of loaded potatoes. The original Mr. Chef, quality, quantity and fresh. And Figo's, flavour, finesse and proper vibes. Right, so today's guest is someone who spends her days headhunting, but don't panic, she's not here to collect hours. She can read a CV faster than I can read the restaurant menu, and that's saying something. Some people swipe left, some people swipe right, the Lauren swipes higher. The director of Bright Path HR, making sure careers go in the right direction and employers avoid hiring the wrong Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, recruiter of recruiters, solver of chaos, guardian of the right fit, Lauren Ryan. How you doing, Lauren?
What an intro.
Aye,
I think I might need to retain you after this and introduce you to all my clients.
Alright, so we've got Lauren with us today, and we've got, you notice this is not John, this is Rukshan of Coffee Cadet. Thanks for stepping in today.
Oh, my pleasure.
We will start off, this time you'll be getting interviewed. We're not going to go right to the beginning, we're going to get stuck right in. So you're running Bright Path HR, placing candidates across multiple sectors, advising companies on culture and hiring. Tell us, what does an average day look like for you at this stage in your career?
Honestly, no 2 days are the same, and it's such a cliche response, but sometimes I'll go in and I'm doing business development, trying to find new clients. Other days it'll be very resource heavy, where we're trying to deliver and, put our money where our mouth is a little bit. And other times you'll be a debt collector, trying to phone clients and say, pay me, mind that great work we've done together. Well, here's the bill. So yeah, no 2 days are the same, but it's really chaotic. We've got a great team behind us.
Yeah, does that happen? You need to actually phone people and say, pay me?
It's the hardest bit of the job, I would say. And I think because I've came from agency as opposed to now having my own business, I was very far afield from the credit control side. So I actually didn't even know if one of our invoices were overdue. I got the commission anyway. So, it wasn't really my business after the job got done. But now being in the behind the scenes and doing the operations, there's a lot of administrative tasks that are involved. But people do pay eventually. You just need to chase them.
After you get hold of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you find that as an eye-opener, especially when you're coming into your own business, coming from a working background? Did you think it was something that you had to do, or is that something that you automatically just did because you have to do it?
In terms of the credit control?
Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, my background before I got into recruitment was in debt collection, so I know, very niche, but quite similar. I'd think with all that skills that I acquired over then, I'd be a wee bit better at it, but I'm definitely not. But yeah, I've had exposure to it in the background, but it's a total different ballgame when it's your business. You almost feel a little bit rude phoning someone and saying, pay my bill, which is mental because they wouldn't work for free and I shouldn't work for free, but yeah, it's it came to me at a different angle than I expected for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Now, and I might be guilty of this as well, but people think recruiters just post jobs, get some CVs, go for lunch. But I'm sure there's a lot more that people don't see. What's something people don't understand about recruitment? Totally don't get it. Is there a lot of detective work? You guys need therapy and coaching? What's more involved?
I mean, lunch is definitely always on the agenda. I've never missed a lunch break from one day in my career, which a lot of recruiters do. I sadly don't. I know where my priorities lie. But yeah, it's definitely not as glamorous as what it looks like in social media. Right. You're putting out fires constantly. You'll speak to, say, 100 candidates. Only probably 10 of them are actually well suited, or you would want to present and put against your name. But yeah, honestly, it's chaotic. That's the best way to describe. A lot of work, a lot of time. It's a lifestyle. It's really not a 9 to 5. You have to be available. People work 9 to 5s and don't have the privacy to have conversations and engage with you. And in the space of 4 walls. So you're always having to make yourself available. And as well, there's a lot of really nice aspects of recruitment. It's very sociable in terms of the not the recruiting, that's what we do, but in terms of the networking and the client entertainment, there's something really magic about once you get someone on board and you build that relationship, and then before you know it, you know someone's wife's name and their kids or their husband, and it becomes more of a two-way relationship as opposed to being transactional. So yeah, it's a little bit of lifestyle living, I suppose.
See, I have a question for you. I'm a novice to the recruitment game because I had no idea how recruitment works. How would you explain to the viewers who doesn't know anything about recruitment? How would you explain to them how the process works? Do you go out there, look for people to recruit, or do they apply? How would the steps
Yeah.
work?
So every agency is different. I think if a lot of people that have been in the industry for a long time have really perfected their craft with candidate availability. So they'll have spreadsheets of people that, related to their sector or whatever sort of niche that they specialise in. They'll have them available that when a job gets phoned in, they'll know exactly who's available and send them out. For us, I'd be a liar if I said that's how we operate. We're very much a bespoke headhunting, personalised service for our clients. What works for one business won't work for another. So we'll take on the brief, we'll understand the business, we'll normally always go into the office. I don't think I've ever worked with a client in my full recruitment career that I've not went in and met their team. See what sort of personalities they have, see what's keeping them up at night, and then give them solutions, because what they think, what they need might be the total opposite. And we can learn from, other companies, other competitors, maybe what woes they've had, and give them, well, we've had a client, a sort of, what's the name of it? I'm trying to think of, like a sort of storytelling of, well, we spoke to someone that had this problem and they thought this was the solution, when in actual fact, we done X, Y, and Z, and this was the outcome, and we give them some tangibles. So it gives them thought to think, and then we'll go out and we'll create a type A, type B, type C profile. Type A is the, exactly what they're looking for, the creme de la creme of the market. The type B is the, not as good, but this is what we think would work. And the type C is probably something really far afield where it's a total stab in the dark, but saying, listen, this could work if we try it. And you give them those solutions and you try to coach them to make the best decisions possible. But ultimately, it's up to them to make that choice. But something that we do at Brightpath, which I really think separates us from your standard recruitment company, is every candidate that we put out to businesses has to do a 2-minute video of themselves. So, I think someone actually told me that the CV, whoever had created it, which is terrible that I don't know, it got made in the 1800s and it's actually never evolved. It was made and that was it.
Yeah.
And something that I've learned in my recruitment, not even from this wasn't even a Brightpath idea. This is something that we found from, third-party businesses that had really promoted their platforms, SaaS software providers. Whereas if you get a candidate to not only just present themselves with their CV, but a 2-minute video explaining who they are, what they do, why they'd be a good fit, that little bit of extra, personability can really put someone in front that maybe they would have been overlooked by if it had only been a CV. So we do that with our shortlisting, and we try and coach them to make decisions that are right for them, but ultimately it is their decision. And then we'll still manage them for about 6 months after they're hired, just doing regular check-ins, making sure they're happy, the client's happy. So it's a long-winded process. It's not as simple as someone applies to a job, you phone them, you're great, here you go. It normally takes about, it could take anywhere from about 3 to 6 weeks to really perfect that shortlist.
Okay.
Now, you must have met every type of candidate, right, in all your experience. The superstar, the unprepared one, the confident one, definitely the ones that are lying on their CV. What are the most common types of candidates you see? Any funny ones? Any instant red flags? What have you learned in your experience of looking at just a CV?
I mean, a CV will tell you a lot, especially on longevity. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've went through a period in the past where I'd stayed at a business and moved on, and then it didn't work out and went somewhere else. So I think for me personally, I've always been a little bit relaxed as looking at a CV, because I know it doesn't tell the full story. But I'd be a liar if I said I don't look at it and I say, right, 4 months here, 6 months here, and there's a bit of a pattern. So then you're having to, do that fact find, and, you've already got a preconception before you've even called them, which is terrible. And then you'll do the dig. But it is something that sticks out to me 100%.
Yeah, you see job hoppers comes to mind, but then it's a sticky one because sometimes you'll get someone that's quite young with some experience, and you have someone with lots of experience, and you
Yeah.
think, can they still come in and learn a lot of systems and compliance? And it's always, you never really know unless you're willing to take time out to
Yeah.
meet them.
100%. And actually, this is a bit of a problem that we've got in recruitment as a whole. I feel if you're a certain age, unfortunately, you do get overlooked, which is why I think that the video platform really complements what we do. Because, I mean, you'll know yourself, you could meet a 20-year-old that is just flat in energy, wants the top salary but doesn't want to work for it. Whereas there could be a 50-year-old that's running marathons and keeping themselves, always learning, the podcast, reading books, and trying to strive to be the best version of themselves. But because of their age, when you look at a CV and you think, well, you worked in a job in 1980, maybe not as far back as that, right? But people do make the preconception, unfortunately. So yeah, I think that's where the video technology comes in, and it really helps to do the storytelling.
Is age a massive factor in terms of choosing a right candidate, or is there other factors that you guys might overlook the age over? So, say for instance, you mentioned that they might have been at a specific job for 4 months, but they have done another job for like 2 years or
Yeah.
3 years. What are the other factors that you might look other than the age?
Well, listen, I know when I was younger, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. I mean, I've swept hair in a hair salon. I worked in a Chinese. I've worked in debt collection, as I said. I've done,
That's all of us.
exactly, before recruitment, I tried it all. I done the Avon. I done the Avon.
I was there at one point.
So listen, if you're young, you're not going to know what you do. I was very lucky that I found my rhythm quite quick in life, whereas for most people, they don't. And you could be 45 years old and just wake up one day and think, I'm not fulfilled, I want to try something different. And that's okay. So we don't judge them straight away, but of course they have to have some sort of accountability. It's can they communicate the reasons why it didn't work out? Are you now in a position to tell me what you do want from an employer, or are you just using me to get a stepping stone again, and then a client's going to fall out with me and I'm going to be the bad guy? So there's a lot of trying to take away the layers to understand truly. But if you work in recruitment and if you're good at it, that's something that's easily done over a coffee or a Teams call or a telephone. It's something that's people, once you get the one-to-one time with them, they will open up and tell you.
Yeah. If I were to say, for instance, sorry, if I were to say I've been in the hospitality industry for a long time, but I want to have a career change, I come to you, Lauren, this is what I want to do. I want to go into tech.
Yep.
How would that affect me if I was in the hospitality industry for about 20 years, but now I want to go into tech, but I have done other stuff, but not on paper. But I understand the tech industry, I know how things work, but I can't back that up. Would that still be a red flag in terms of changing the career perspective?
No, not at all. I mean, if you've worked in hospitality, you can work in any sector, in my opinion. It's the most people face to face as you can get. So you'll naturally build great experience and skill sets that you can take with you. I think what I would do is I would sit down with a candidate and say, right, okay, well, why do you want to do tech? What sectors intrigue you? What have you seen online, or have you just woke up one day and seen that someone was making 100 grand a year in a SaaS software business, and you think, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go and sell a platform. So I think it's the reasons and why, and back to the sort of storytelling and one-to-one conversation. Yeah, but anyone can do whatever they want. It's just, do they have that desire to want to learn? Because you can coach a skill, you can't coach an attitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something you want to tell us? You think I'm beginning up the sauce?
I'll expect your 2-minute video tomorrow, right?
We'll speak after
Oh yeah, that's a good time you coming today.
But yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to take us after this, eh?
Yeah. Okay, so Lauren, there's lots of people listening, and a lot of them might need help and some guidance. What are the top CV mistakes people constantly make? The things that make you think, right, no, next, terrible.
I think it's saying things like administration, like when they put the little skill sets and it's like bullet points: team player, good communicator, and then you meet with them and I'm like, you can't communicate. Or if we'll do for some clients, if we're hiring administrators, we'll get them to do like an Excel template to show us how they actually can perform if they're in a job that's solely reliant on that piece of technology. And then they don't know how to sort from ascending to descending or from alphabetical order. And I'm like, well, you're clearly no IT literate or Microsoft literate, so you're not getting the job. Kind of, it's not as straightforward as that. But yeah, that's some of the things I suppose stick out to me.
Aye. And what's the one thing, even as things evolve, CVs evolve, that if someone sent you a CV that would make you think, I'm going to read that, what stands out to you?
Well, I'll actually tell you a story. So back to the video technology that we use, we hired for, well, we didn't, Brightpath didn't, I hired for Innis and Gunn in a past life. Innis and Gunn are the, craft beer business based in Edinburgh, and there was a young chap to me called Logan, and I hope he won't mind me name dropping him, but
His name now.
his name now. Sorry, Logan. But he actually posted this sort of exercise online and credited me for it, which was really, really nice to get that knowledge, or not knowledge, that accreditation put aside to me. But anyway, he'd came to me and said, listen, I really want to go in this sector. He'd worked at a sort of competitor within the the drinks industry, but hadn't worked directly in alcohol. He said, I've had a couple of interviews. I'm always getting knocked back because someone else comes forward that's got more experience. He's like, I really don't know how to stand out from the crowd. And I told him about the video. Now, I did not, just for reference, I told him to do a 2-minute video elevator pitch because I thought, if you can get your personality and why you think you'd be a good hire, I promise you I will get the managing director to meet with you myself. And we did. But he came away and his friend worked in marketing, and he done a sort of 2-minute TikTok video where he goes into the fridge and there is a can of Tennent's and a can of Innis and Gunn, and he's walking through saying, hi, I'm Logan, and grabs the Innis and Gunn ahead of the Tennent's, sit down, cracks the can open, and goes into a bit of a pitch on why he thinks he would be a good fit. And now this isn't for everyone, I can't expect everyone to have had a friend that has got experience in marketing or content creation that can help them with this. But even just that bit of personality they will always remember him, whether he got the job or not. He would always have been remembered and made a good impression, and he wanted to be seen. And I think that story always comes back when I think someone that really put themselves, in and outside their comfort zone and set them aside from the crowd.
What if the person who are suggesting the video interview is not comfortable being in front of the camera? How would you tackle that?
I mean, listen, it's not for everyone, and especially on certain roles. If you're going for a hospitality role, or if you're going for a chef position, no one needs you to be qualified to speak in front of the camera. So I think it depends on the position. Also, it depends on if people are comfortable. People might have, the ADHD, people might suffer from autism. It's not within everyone's means to be able to do something like that. But I would encourage them to at least try, and if they don't like it, they don't need to do it. I only get to see the finished product. You can record the video 10 times if you like. So give it a go, and if you really don't like it, we'll move on and we'll say you at least tried, and we'll put in a good word. So it doesn't rule off anything.
But also, I think it's a great way to do the videos, just because hospitality is a massive industry, and the majority of it is like front facing.
Exactly.
So I personally think even if you're not comfortable in front of the camera, it's still valuable for you to see how you interact with yourself, even if you're not directly facing someone. So I definitely think it's a valuable thing.
Yeah, I know you're good in front of the camera.
Mate, I was
We've seen those adverts. Help us on the beach.
Did you jump at the opportunity to do this then?
No, it took me a while to get comfortable in front of it. I was pretty against it, but when you're going into your own business, I'm sure you definitely experience that because you're great in front of the camera. For me, it was quite different, but I think it definitely helped me in terms of the interaction with my cousins day to day. because you get comfortable in front of people. You feel comfortable in front of camera. You get comfortable in front of.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think as well, like, I'd never recorded a video of myself until I actually started Brightpath, which is ironic because I was asking people to do it every day of my life. And then it came to me. I think my first video, I must have taken about 30 takes. And I criticised everything about myself. And then like, it also gave me that, I was able to then relate to the people I was speaking with and coach them and how to do the camera, because I myself tried it and didn't enjoy it whatsoever. I mean, I still done it.
Yeah.
And the engagement worked, you know, we got it back and that gave me the confidence to keep going again and again and again. And now it's just became part of my everyday life and it's my bread and butter. So I think it's that sort of exposure therapy. If you do it enough times, you'll get used to it.
Yeah, you get comfortable in front of it. With coming back to the CVs again, do you see a generic version when people send you CVs that you could tell directly that they've used ChatGPT or anything
Yeah.
like that? And
Oh, she's good at that. Honestly,
yeah, this is why I was so intrigued to ask you this question, because I'm sure a lot of people do send you generic CVs that looks like
Yeah.
one another. How can you tell the difference?
Oh, you know what? I can't, because I'll be honest, I don't read into the CV at all. I mean, look, if I was to sit down and I was to see someone that done it on their own and someone that looked at AI or ChatGPT or whatever, I'm sure I'd be able to point it out. But we don't really judge on the CV. Do you know, a lot of it is what we're doing is bespoke headhunting, where it's maybe via LinkedIn or it's been through a referral. So we don't get to see the CV first. It's up to us to format it and make sure that the client doesn't think it's from ChatGPT, even though we do. But we've got the video to complement it. So
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You definitely you can spot ChatGPT messages. I'll tell you
I think a
about
lot of people can now, don't they?
that. Right, okay, we've still got lots to go, don't worry. Right, so interview tips. Right now, I've interviewed hundreds of people
Yeah.
in my time, right?
yeah.
And I've seen people cut. I've seen a guy sweating once with puddles. Seen people that
Oh,
can't
Oh,
talk,
okay.
you know, and I try and just talk about other stuff. You know, so I've seen a lot, right? Tell me, what's the simplest sort of one or two things someone can do instantly to elevate how they come across or how they interview?
I think a lot of it is mindset, because realistically, you're going in to meet someone and the person sat across from you is just another human. And they are probably caught up in their own head. I'll say as to candidates, you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. Is this someone you would want to work for? Is this a business that aligns with who you are as a person and your values? So I think if you go in and have the mindset of they want to make as much of a good impression as I do, I think that will make, you know, your shoulders drop and you'll relax a little bit. And we get it all the time. And I actually, is it terrible to say, I like it when someone's a bit nervous in an interview, because it means they actually care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my biggest advice would be is just, it's another person. They go to the pub on a Saturday, or they've got a wife and kids at home, or, you know, they've divorced their husband recently. Everyone's got their own life behind them. You know, their 9 to 5 or whatever it is that they do. And I think just acknowledging that will hopefully relax people.
Sure. I mean, how did you get into recruitment? Say, for instance, a random person wants to go into recruitment. A normal person, not random person, but normal person.
A normal? I don't know if anyone in recruitment's normal, I'll be honest. So.
I mean, I don't think we all are normal, but in the sense where they've not been in recruitment ever
Yeah.
and they want to get into recruitment, what's the stepping stones of it?
Anyone can get into recruitment. I think traditionally, when I was going into recruitment, I found that they really appealed to graduates. I'd never went to university. I left school, you know, earlier than I should have. Academically, I'm not there, but I know I'm intelligent, but I was just better with people.
Yeah.
So for recruitment, I mean, the starting salary's rotten. You know, don't go in expecting to be a millionaire overnight, because it's not going to be there. There's a lot of behind the scenes of perfecting your craft, a lot of mistakes. You know, you need to go in with the open mind as you're almost an apprentice. You know, you're on a low wage and you're going to be rewarded by commission, which is really attractive. But you know, any business, if you were to contact anyone in recruitment within a managerial role and say, listen, I really want to make money, I'm a people's person and I think I could do this, I promise you, recruitment is suffering from talent. Anyone could get into it, as long as you're able to, you know, back yourself up and hold a conversation with people. You have to be a people's person. You can't go in and be shy or scared to, you know, communicate, because it's just not going to be the job for you. So it's a certain profile, but I think anyone could do it if they really wanted to.
Yeah. So the guy that asked on Instagram, that's Roxanne's asked your question for you. Cheers for that. So somebody did ask that.
Good.
Yeah.
No, listen, we'll get in touch. I'm hiring.
Or I'll message him later. Right. So we've spoke about what can elevate an interview process for someone. What is the worst interview moment you've ever had? Either you, well, maybe not you. I don't think you'd have one, but someone you've interviewed and you don't need to mention names.
I've had it recently, you know.
Recently, or this is
Like
great.
a week ago. And I'm really like, I'm embarrassed because you've got to take some accountability when things go wrong. Now, sometimes, most of the time, 90% of the time, we're not involved in the hiring process. There is a 10% of startup companies or maybe people that haven't interviewed before in the past and they want our opinion. They want us to sit in and help steer the conversation. But we had one recently where it was a lovely guy. It's a family run business. And one of the candidates that we'd put in was working in the exact same industry as him, self-employed, wasn't really working out. There was an opportunity for him to go into a senior ops position. We thought it was a great fit. When we done the briefing, you know, we were in contact with this guy for 3 weeks. It's not like we'd one conversation and we put him into an interview. There was a lot of behind the scenes of engaging with him and explaining the job details. And anyway, he took it as an opportunity to go to the interview and say, listen, I'm not actually interested in the job I've been put forward for. I want this as a bit of a stepping stone until next year when my business,
Oh my God.
like when my business picks up in the summer next year.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, and obviously,
That's
No.
very disrespectful if someone said that to me.
Yeah.
I can hand in heart say there was nothing I could have done to prevent that. You know, our process was slick.
Yeah.
They were, you know, the shortlist that we sent was out of many. You know, there was a lot of no's that we'd rejected, and we honestly, I had my money on him. I thought, he's my hire, we're getting him. And you know, it's incredibly disappointing when a client phones you and tells that, because then you need to look inwards to the situation. You start second guessing yourself to say, had the wool been pulled over my eyes, had I not briefed them correctly and what the expectation would be? And ultimately, this is someone's time. Do you know, someone that's running a business, it's taking the time to go and meet with your candidate that you've put to your name. It reflects terribly on myself.
I generally don't think that like comes too badly on you. The person who was actually doing it, he should have really put himself in their shoes since he's a businessman himself. You know, how would that
Yeah.
reflect if he was in the other side of the coin? You know,
Yeah.
Don't know if we can see it like that, but
absolutely not. No,
It's so savage, man.
so it was
love it.
bro. See when he phoned, I was like, so how'd the interview go? And he was like, well, it didn't go at all. He wasn't interested in the job, and this was the first interview we had out of 3. And I was like, I wanted the ground to swallow me up. I was humiliated, and I think that one was a bit more personable. Sorry, not personable. This one was I took it a bit more personal because
Yeah.
it was the first that this situation had ever happened in Brightpath. So it was no longer just Lauren at a recruitment agency. It didn't matter who it came from. It was our business, and it was a terrible. It felt like a sore reflection on us and our capability. But it's a listen. It happens. Unfortunately, it's just need to put up your drawers and keep going.
would you say that's a memorable moment for you in that case?
Oh, it was a sore one. It was a sore one to have within less than 12 months. Now, this has happened before in the past, but only, you know, maybe twice in my career before that point. So to have it, this much experience into the industry, yeah, it was a devastating blow, 100%.
Yeah.
Good. We'll wind you up about that later. Right. So recruitment has evolved a lot. And it used to be people send CVs. Some people now put their photos on. But then COVID came, office working went to home working, and now people are trying to get back in the offices. Some companies are enforcing 4 or 5 days, some are doing hybrid roles. So how do you think that market or the recruitment industry has evolved, or the job side of things?
Oh, it's crazy. From when I first joined to now, in that short window period, because I've not been in recruitment for long. I joined recruitment in 2021, I believe. That's crazy that I don't even remember when I joined. It feels like 10 years ago. But just even from when I first joined, that was just in the back of COVID. So all the interviews were still remotely on Teams and Zoom. It was almost like telling a candidate that you had to go in for a face-to-face interview. You were telling them the worst news in the world. Even the way people dress. Now, I might be a little bit old-fashioned, but the way I was raised and taught when you go for an interview is you wear your Sunday suit, you know, you go as dressed as your best self. Whereas I've had candidates go in a pair of joggers and a football top, you know, it was, again, another humiliating moment in recruitment because you don't realise that you need to coach people to say, this is the dress code. And don't get me wrong, listen, like if it's office, you know, casual, I don't expect anyone to go in a 3-piece suit, but, you know, at least dress smart and appropriate, not football colours or, you know, just anything that you shouldn't be doing in an office environment, in any environment, you know, a restaurant, whatever. And obviously technology as well, you know, AI, if you sit in a Teams call with a candidate, AI will actually draft you your notes and tell you what stood out about the candidate, maybe any sort of gaps and where they fell short in terms of experience or skill. That the amount of admin work that saves you incredible. And also you've got not only yourself making that judgment, you've got artificial intelligence in your ear too, giving you, you know, a lot of knowledgeable information that maybe you would have overlooked. So yeah, it's mental. It's evolved massively.
See, there's an argument right for both sides. People say, I work from home, I do more. Some people say, if you come in the office, you'll learn more from hearing people and it's team building and stuff. So I see arguments for both. But is there one better or is it just depending on the person?
I think, now this is controversial, I don't think anyone I mean, home working obviously relates to an office environment role because in hospitality there would be home working. I state the obvious, right? But if you were in an office, I think the problem that we've got and why there's such a shortage on particularly young people that are really, you know, good at what they do and are going to be your best hires in 5 years' time is because they're not going in and listen to, you know, the top salesperson that's been in the business for 10 years or, you know, just to relate it to myself, when I joined a business, I was sat beside people that were earning a lot of money and I would hear them on the phone and what they would say to handle certain situations or cheesy sales pickup lines that get a client laughing when, you know, maybe they were a little bit crossed or they were reluctant with the cold call. And I honestly would say I learned the most in those core periods of my transition going into recruitment than I ever have, even just now as a business owner. And I think that's really what's missing. So for me, I'm totally against home working. It works for some. We've had people before in the past and staff that really do make the most of their time at home and they'll work late and they'll work through their lunch hour because they know they've got that little early finish, if you like, not having to do the commute home. So listen, it definitely works for some, but for me personally, I think it's you're never going to become the best version of yourself if you take yourself out of that really important period of learning something and doing something new.
So you're a seasoned veteran now since 2021, right, in recruitment. What are your do's and don'ts as a recruiter that you stick by?
Don't get too drunk at the client entertainment night. I done that last week, so I think I need to take my own advice with that. Don't overpromise, underpromise, overdeliver. I love that one. I always, you know, I think people think I'm quite negative as a recruiter because I give them problems before solutions. I said, well, you know, this could happen, or listen, it might take us some time. We're not a quick fix. And you sort of preempt that they've not got the highest expectation so that when you actually go to deliver, you've already exceeded their expectation because the bar might have been a little bit low. Now, you can't go in and tell people, oh, I might be slow or I might not be the best person for this because they're not going to use you. You know, go on. We've got a million recruiters banging on LinkedIn saying they've got the perfect candidate, you know, so there has to be a little bit of pull to get them in. But yeah, and then I'm trying to think of what another do. Well, that is a do really, and a don't in both aspects. And another do is be honest. You're going to get caught out. If something doesn't go right, tell them. If you're struggling to find someone, tell them. I think people respect the transparency more than I promise you the shortlist is coming this Friday, but I'm just waiting on John Smith, you know, coming back to me, and then Friday comes and you've not got anything, and the client's then questioning how authentic you are and if they can trust you. And I think I learned that a little bit too late in my career. I think when I first joined recruitment, was so eager to please. I took on all this work and thought, I'll worry about the delivery later. You can't do that. You know, you're going to lose business, you're going to pay people off, and people won't come back. And in recruitment, you've either got a good reputation or a bad reputation. It's up to you what one you fall under. So yeah.
I like that. Really like the honesty, because I've had things where someone's been promising and then I just get a bunch of CVs that are just, I don't think they're worth looking at.
Yeah.
But
Or maybe they just scrapped it off of Indeed.
yeah,
Sent it to
Oh, Indeed is like the TK Maxx of recruitment, and you not. And it's such a cheesy sales line. If I actually used it years ago when I phone called you, but it's so true. Like you could spend all day long in Indeed, and you would just not find what you're looking for. People aren't applying for jobs; they really aren't. And if they are applying, I question why are you applying? You know, I've now got this bad preconception about them already. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got a lot of good hires that come through applicants. I'd be a liar if I said otherwise, but it's so difficult trying to find them on a job board. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that 'cause when we put out adverts for recruiting ourselves, we get so many candidates that doesn't even meet the criteria that we're.
they don't read, do they?
No, they just send you a CV.
I'll tell you an absolute belter, right? I had a cover letter with a application once saying, please do not phone me. The job centre told me to apply for this job. I swear. 'Cause it is like, it's like a tick box exercise where they're having to actually apply for their, what's it called? Like their, the allowance for
Some sort of
job seekers allowance. That's it. Yeah. So I've seen it all, and I was like, you know what, respect.
You must have rated that. And
I know.
You come on in, mate.
I was like, you know what? I appreciate not wasting my time. I won't phone you.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have been a really good candidate. You never know.
But they don't want to work. Can coach a skill, can't coach a mindset. So
That's true.
Oh, I love that. That's good. Right, so we're going to move on to some spicy segments, right?
right.
So, spicy segment, right? Honest answers only, as honest as HR legally allows.
Yep.
Do recruiters judge people the second they walk in?
Yeah.
Nice. That was good.
No, 100%.
What's something candidates do that give you the instant ick?
Trauma dump me.
Oh, really?
Oh. I'm all for people being honest, right? You're going to get caught out. But I don't need to know about the worst heartbreak of your life that happened last year
It's
or
not relevant, is it?
yeah, I'm like, you know, there's just some things that you should keep to yourself. Just keep it yourself. You know, if no one's asking, don't give that information up for free.
Yeah.
Someone comes on and they go, well, I've been off 2 years with anxiety and stress, but I'm ready to do this job now, this high pressure job. And you're thinking in your head, like, why are you telling me this?
Did I tell you about the job seeking since 2001?
No.
Oh, I had a CV once and I'll never forget it. I think it was within my first couple of weeks of recruitment where it said actively seeking employment from 2001 till present. I was like, that's a long job search, you know.
Wow. What was the excuse for not finding a job?
No, I did phone them. I sent the CV and I was like, I'm sure you've got some excuse. Aye. People, keep in mind, people pay me for a candidate. You know, you could go online and find this person on your own. So sometimes it's a little bit more polished coming from recruiters because they're essentially, you know, recruitment fees are crazy. Do you know, my lowest fee was £500 and my highest fee is 20 grand. Do you know the money that people will pay is mental? I know, I thought recruitment was such a
business, man.
I know, listen, I've not seen 20 grand touch the right path yet, so this is back in the day. But it's mental what people will pay for good people. Yeah, you know, we've not really trying to be that brand where we're trying to make, you know, tons of money off of we're a startup. We're trying to help SME startup businesses because we relate to them. We've got a couple of corporate accounts, but I don't think that's what we're striving for. I think if we can make good impact while being a small business, then, you know, the pounds will look after itself. But when you're in a big corporate agency and you're getting capped on your commission, those larger fees are attractive. You know, let's just say it how it is. So
yeah. True. Now, be honest, do employers actually care about degrees anymore?
yes and no. I mean, if I had an appendicitis and I was in hospital, I would want someone that's, been in not been in hospital, someone that's like had a degree and, is trained to perform surgery on me. So in that type of field, 100%. And most, no. I think if you could, as long as you've got, as I say, I keep repeating myself, if you've got that want to succeed and you've got that ambition and you're able to set yourself out from the crowd, no one cares about your CV or your experience if you've been to uni or not. It's what can you do? What value can you bring? Like I've got a HR business. I don't have a HR degree. Do you know, we've got a panelist of HR, like advisors that work with us independently. They're the experts. You come to me for recruitment. You don't come to me for HR advice. So yeah, sorry, that was a really long-winded answer for a very simple question.
So would you say that's character over experience rather?
Yeah, and as I said, there are like lawyers, doctors, that there are going to be the sectors where a degree is needed, but for the jobs that don't require that, no, I think anyone can do it.
Nice. So this question, I need to be careful because you might fall into one of these categories, right? I'm just thinking of my own age here. Are Gen Z really harder to manage, or is that just boomer propaganda? I'm a boomer, by the way.
So, funnily enough, I asked my business partner Stuart about this before I came, because this was one of the questions that jumped out to me. Because I am Gen Z, so I'm a bit biased, right? Now, for people that are listening that don't know, my business partner Stuart is, he's going to hate me for saying this, he's significantly older than me, we are the yin and yang, and I think a lot of people have been out to clients and they think, are you, father and daughter? Or they think there's a really weird complex relationship that we've got and people make that preconception, but what was your question?
Oh, Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Sorry, I went on a tangent about Stuart laughing about that there. So I actually asked him and I said, in your opinion, because I'm difficult to manage, he still manages me, even though, we're partners now. That's been a shift in dynamic and relationship, and we've had our fair share of challenges from changing that. And I think he said to me, it's not that people don't know how to manage young people, it's just the way they were taught to manage worked 10 years ago. Whereas now they've maybe not been up to date with the market or given the tools or training on how to manage how the current, candidate market buy into people. Like for me, I remember working in a business and Stuart said, I've got a lot of whys if we're doing something. I'm like, why do we need to do that? Why are we doing this? Well, what's the point in that? And he'll need to say, well, Lauren, if you phone 100 candidates, you're going to only find about 25 for your shortlist. Out that 25, 10 people will fall off, and you're going to want to make sure you've got backups, and he'll explain the full process. And I go, okay, then I'll do it. Whereas I think maybe some management styles I've had in the past is, well, I'm the boss and I'm telling you to do this because that's what you get paid to do.
Yeah.
And I think I bought into Stuart so much because Stuart was my boss's boss's boss when I first met him. But he was always involved. He was always on the tools. He wasn't just taking a large salary and kicking his feet back. He knew the challenges we had in recruitment. He knew what he knew what was going in the market. He stayed relevant. He stayed up to date. And I really bought into him as an individual because it was like monkey see, monkey do a little bit. And we're an example of what can happen with that relationship. Now we've went to be equal partners. He's got a hell of a lot more experience than I do. He's ran businesses before, where this is a total first for me, so I'm almost like his apprentice in a little way. And I've been able to reap the benefits on that and really been bought into my manager, and my manager been bought into me, as opposed to, I do challenge him a lot, and if he was sat here now, he would be like, she is a pain in the backside. But it's that yin and yang, I suppose, a little bit, that he's been able to get the best out of me, and I hope that he would feel the same, vice versa. The elements that he's not succeeding in, I'm quite good at. What I really struggle with, operations, running a business or candidate control, he's been there, wore the t-shirt, and he can add the most value as possible.
What generation would you think is easiest to place?
Gen Z.
Gen Z? Obviously you're going to
because the only reason why is because if you get someone that's good, there's so few far in between that you can get them noticed. If you find someone that says, Sorry, I keep relating it back to sales, but obviously that is the sector that I come from, and it's the one I relate most to, and a lot of my clients I recruit for in that space. If you've got someone that comes to you and says, I've not got a lot of experience, but I'm willing to make 100 phone calls a day, I'm resilient, I'm not scared of rejection, I want to put myself in new positions, that is like a golden ticket. I'm like, I'm going to make money off of you. If you have someone in hospitality that says, I'm flexible in my shift hours, if your restaurant's really busy, I'll stay an extra hour because I would want to treat this as if it was my own company. And that will also get them noticed for progression opportunities. They can then, work their way up if that's something that they want to do and aspire. So I think trying to find that in the young people, the category I fall into, is difficult. And me, 24, working with my business partner, it's ages with my dad. That's another example, and it's really cocky to say so, but it's the truth.
Well, you're right in what you're saying, because I remember the first time I spoke to you about recruitment, and I was shocked afterwards when I realised your age, because
I think I was 19 or 20.
You were speaking as if
Oh.
some of the people I spoke to that had years of experience, like 20 years, in that company before, and I was just gobsmacked. So yeah,
I mean, anyone can talk a good game, right?
you were good, especially for Gen Z.
But you also think it's the generational gap as well, and the accessibility that you had right now in comparison to what it was maybe like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Have the resources that we have right now, and I sometimes struggle to get on that page, even though like, I'm pretty well versed with a lot of stuff, but it's certain things that you might understand, I might not understand.
Yeah.
So I think, do you see that as an advantage or a disadvantage?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, there's always going to be, and to relate it back to me and Stuart, what he's really good at, I'm not good at, and the things like our marketing's looked after by me, our social presence, our videos, that's something I take joy in.
Yeah.
Whereas Stuart doesn't like that. He's got a spreadsheet, he's process driven, he micromanages himself really, really well. And I think that we add value to each other, and I'm sure that any business that's a startup or even a long-term, successful company would any fresh ideas. I mean, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So sometimes I don't think it's a bad idea to hire someone that's totally opposite to you, because they're only going to do something that you wouldn't necessarily look at or have ideas that you wouldn't. So it's an advantage 100%.
Awesome, right? So you understand the madness you deal with, right, on a daily basis. So let's rewind a little bit and now talk about how you actually got into recruitment, like your first gig.
So I had a friend that worked in recruitment, and as I said previously, I thought it was a bit of a pyramid scheme. I was working in a
A1 all day.
I was working in a collections office. I was doing actually during COVID HMRC's debt recovery for businesses, which was horrible. Do you know, it was a horrible time. And thankfully, with the FCA regulations, it's not about trying to take people for money. It was about giving them solutions and putting them in touch with the right resources to get help. But my friend had a huge sort of, when everyone went back in the office, recruitment was booming. She was making a lot of money. And she said to me, do you know, I think you'd be really good at this. You're a people person. We're hiring. I want someone quite junior. And I was like, recruitment? Absolutely not. I was like, absolutely not. Why would I ever want to get into recruitment? And she was like, well, here's what I made last month. And showed me her wage. And I was like, you're making that? And I know you, and we've been pals for years. And how are you? And at the time, personally in my life, I mean, I moved out the home as soon as I left school. I bought my first house. So financially as well, after COVID, I was struggling. Do you know, it was really expensive. I had a flatmate that just moved out at the time. I had the rent on my own. I was struggling to find another flatmate. And I was at this sort of, I don't really know what I want to do with my life, but I know that I don't want to do this. I'm not someone that's good at admin. I'm not good being stuck at a desk. I like being out and about. And I knew it didn't align with my sort of future values. And when I spoke to my friend Robin, who's in recruitment, what really stood out to me, aside from the money, was the people element. You know, you can make a difference. You can get people that first gig that they were dying to get, or, you know, someone's in a job that they really don't feel fulfillment in, and you can help them come out of that and go into something and pursue a talent or something that they just have a lot of aspiration for. It can be really rewarding. It can be terrible. Do you know, when it's bad, it's awful. Recruitment's not fun at all. You're relying on people, and people are the most unpredictable things ever.
Hospitality is not any different.
Yeah, there's so many similarities.
Yeah.
We always say if you work in hospitality, you can work in any sector. It's actually a standout candidate for us. When we see them apply, we're like, ching, you know, with jackpot. Because of course, like the hours, you know, that you guys do, the social skills that involve the complaint handling as well, and budgets. You know, everyone's having to work in teamwork to, you know, make sure that a certain delivery is done at the end of the day. It's a fascinating sector, and we love it when folk come in our
our
door.
business goes to. I'll call you.
So Lauren, I remember you were at a certain company, and I'm sure you moved somewhere else for a bit. And I don't know if that was the last one or there's one more, but what led you to say, you know what, you're quite young, I'm going to do this, or what path was paved for you to do that?
So I've only ever worked in 2 agencies. I've always, as I said earlier, you know, I have tried a couple of jobs, but all of my jobs have been about 2-3 years at a time. I don't really like change, to be totally honest with you. And also in recruitment, once you've got your client book, it's really hard to move away from something. You've got guaranteed earnings, and you know that you've got reoccurring clients that are gonna come back, and you could tick along nicely. Stuart, for total honesty, just sort of phoned me one day and was like, Lauren, I've got a crazy idea. If you like it, then great. If you don't, the conversation never happened. And he pitched me the idea and said, you know what, I've got an opportunity here. I want to go out on my own. I would love for you to join with me. I think we'd work really well together. And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was it done. Do you know, that was it. I didn't even think about it. I didn't really talk to anyone about the idea. I kept it really secret at the time. And then I just sort of said, right, guys, this is what I'm going to do. And I think people were a bit like, are you sure? Do you know, you've not worked in this industry for a long period of time. You know, you don't really have a lot of responsibility out with your own book of clients. And I just had that trust in the people that were behind us and supporting us and around us. And you know, we've got people behind the scenes more than me and Stuart. Me and Stuart, yes, are the front of Brightpath, but we've got an incredible team behind us and people that have worked in business for a long time. And I think we sort of knew that with their guidance and support, we would find a way to make it work. And yeah, no regrets. You know, we're going to be a year old in March, which is crazy. I think there's some sort of statistic where HMRC, our company's house, you know, how many businesses it set up, they end up dissolving within their first year. And don't get me wrong, there's been days where we thought, how are we going to do this? You know, we're one bad month away from Brightpath not existing. But thankfully, we've got a couple of projects now where we know we're going to be taken care of for the next year. And I do think it comes to that, being honest with people, and, you know, not under promising, over delivering, and building those relationships that I believe me and Stuart have got such great clients, and we really pride ourselves in our partnerships that we will find a way to make it work, even when it's in the absolute depths of craziness.
What has been the most challenging thing that you've faced so far in your business?
I'm getting paid. Invoicing. Someone gave me really good advice and said, you know, if someone owes you money, you pick up the phone and be like, you know, you don't work for free, I don't work for free. But I've almost felt a little bit scared to annoy anyone or feel like I'm chasing people for payment. So that's been a challenge. I think also as well is trying to explain why someone would want to put their trust in us as a startup company. I mean, part of our business is we work retained, where people will give us money up front for a service, especially if you're working with a business for the first time. Why would anyone want to, in a business that's just set up, don't even think we've filled for our first account sheet? I don't know, that's Stuart's job. As I said, operationally, I'm not there. Do you know, why would someone want to do that? Just so we can close the door and go away? Whereas, it's been quite hard trying to put ourselves in front of people, and we've bended our fees and we've bended our terms, where in actual fact, probably now our plan going into 2026 is we've we've got a success rate, you know, we've got client testimonials, we've got people that have worked with us for years that have came and continued our partnership with us at Brightpath, which we're incredibly grateful for. And we're now in a place where we're able to be a little bit more, you know, strong, and you know, this is what we are and these are our terms, and yes, we want to accommodate and we want to help small businesses, but this is our halfway mark. So yeah, it's been a challenge trying to get to that point.
Okay, before I move on to the rapid fire round, see these things on TikTok, you see people say you should change job every 2 years. Is that true, or is that just for likes?
Oh, well, there's a little bit of truth and there's a little bit of not truth, because I mean, if someone's joining my business, I don't want them to leave after 2 years, but it's also my responsibility to incentivize people. I want to, you know, say, well, if you're with me for 2 years and you're hitting all your targets, you're exceeding them, or, you know, I respect you and you add a lot of value to my business, I want you to get a wage rise because I'm making a profit off of you. So I want you to, you know, reap the benefits of that too. I want people to not just stay in the same position. I want them to move on and play to their strengths, manage, coach. If you don't want to manage or coach, go do something else and build yourself up and just educate yourself more and try new things. Don't be stuck in the same position. But if an employer can't give you that, then
Tough.
it's tough. On you go. You know, go find something that's going to fulfill you. I honestly, and I have this conversation with clients all the time, and I don't think they like it. It's up to you to keep your staff. We can give you the people, but it's up to you to keep them. And that's with culture, incentives, salary reviews, employee benefits, whatever it is. But it's your responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen, not the person in the business that you've hired.
See, with like salary reviews and stuff, why is it sometimes when someone gives a notice in, suddenly more money becomes available to keep them?
I hate this one because it happens every day. And I always say to a candidate, you know, had you not have handed in your notice, would you have got the counter offer? Would they have offered you more money? And see the problems that you told me that are at the surface level of your brain, let me tell you, that's not going to go away with an extra grand or two. So, you know, you're going to come back to me and they'll go, no, but they've promised me this and my money's going up. And I'm like, right, well, after the tax man comes, that's a whole difference of 40 quid, you know, a month. So good luck with that. And then they'll come back and, you know, and you help them. You know, people will make that mistake. I've made that mistake. I have. But it's not gonna fix your problems.
I mean, money can only get you
Yeah.
so far, isn't it? But the problems are always going to be persistent.
Yeah.
They can always give you 20 grand, but if you're not going to be happy with the job, it doesn't really matter if you get the 20 grand, right?
And money's not everything.
No.
I'd say for me, culture's really important. You know, values. How are you treated as an employee or as an employer? You know, too. If you've got people that are working under you, you can't just hire people and them, you know, be dead weight or, you know, maybe challenge you. Like, and listen, I'm all for people challenging me all the time, and Stuart and I do it to one another constantly, me more so than him. You don't want to run it. You don't want to hire people that aren't afraid to speak up, but equally, you don't want people that are going to create chaos in your business. We've all got jobs to do and we've all got businesses to run. We've got responsibilities, and equally so do they.
Say, for instance, that I myself a business and I'm coming to you. How would you see whether that business is something that you want to work with? Do you do background research into the business in itself? Do you look into the culture in the business? How do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think I said it earlier in the podcast, I've not had one client I've not went out and met with their team. I'll also, you know, I've also spot checked, which is controversial to say. I've reached out to people that I maybe know that have worked in the business previously, because listen, Glasgow's a small world, you know, it's a village, everyone knows everyone. And you can say, you know, how were they to work for? And listen, not everyone's going to have the most positive experience in a workplace. What I would maybe say about some past places, other people might not have the same experience and vice versa. So you do try to take it with a pinch of salt, but it's good to understand what the general overview is. And I'll have clients that will meet with us and be like, well, we want this and we want that. And I've got a million recruiters that are asking me to do this, but I'm going to give you the business and they want you to like almost like monkey dance, you know. And I'll say, you know, this just isn't worth my time. Thanks for the opportunity. Great business. Wish you the absolute best. It's not for us. I'm not a right fit for you. You're not a right fit for me. And then they get a little bit shocked because they expect you know, to be desperate in a certain way because there's so many recruiters, when in actual fact is, if you know you're good at your job and if you know that you can create a solution, if you're not the destination, you're the pickup point. If I'm working with you, I can't take any of your staff. So if you're going to only cause me pain and, you know, not give me any sort of joy, see ya.
Would you also say that that's a really great point? Would you also say that in any business, if you're starting out a business and you're a novice, integrity is one of the key importance of any business?
Yeah. I think kindness has to be at the forefront. You know, treat people how you want to be treated. I've seen it time and time again, particularly within big corporate giants. People get treated just as a number, and that is going to create the overall culture within your company. And I think now more so than ever, more people are going for the family-run business, the startup company, the SMEs, because they feel a little bit more valued. And listen, there's great big corporate businesses out there. We've got plenty of clients that, you know, they bring them in, they've got amazing employee benefits, and because they've got the big amount of money, they've got loads of cash that they can spend. But it's not just about that anymore. It's about how individuals feel treated. And I think also people care now more than ever of people's opinions on them. People want praise.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting that, I think unfortunately people then think, oh, or they second guess themselves, you know, maybe I'm not wanted here, I'm not appreciated, I'd be better going elsewhere. And that's when they start to think, you know, the grass would be greener on the other side. So
true. Okay, so before I ask you something totally random, right?
right.
If recruitment was a food dish, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. Kebab.
A kebab?
Aye.
How?
Of all the things.
Messy.
Not because we're sitting here, is it?
Do you know what I was honestly thinking?
Chicken pakora.
Do you know why I was honestly thinking of kebab? Because see, at the end of the night, it just hits every time. Like, do you know, it's quite convenient. It's messy. It's a bit chaotic. But it slaps. Do you know?
It's straight to the point. Like,
God, now you're making me think I'm a bloody racer. You better cut.
No. He said that. I didn't say it, right?
It's okay, I said it as well, not you. Right, one HR myth you'd banish forever.
Like, HR people are corporate.
True.
I mean, I had that perception, to be honest. Like, without me even knowing. Yeah, I didn't think you guys were evil and but I thought it was just, it's like cutthroat business where there's no emotion involved.
Yeah.
Because for me, a 9 to 5 job is like that. Because I've been in 9 to 5 jobs before while I was in hospitality, and it wasn't really for me. So the perception was very intertwined because of that. But I'm definitely wrong about it. That's just my opinion of it, you know.
No, listen, it's good to hear that, because I do think it is something that a lot of people, or most people, would think. I think ultimately in HR, now I don't work in HR, I work in recruitment, but HR is a tail of our business. They're only doing what they're told to do. It's a formal process, it's a policy that legally they've got to be compliant with. It doesn't mean that they want to do it. I mean, one of the people that work in our company on the sort of HR panel, they dread if they were to get a contract where they're having to make a mass of people redundant, because they have to be stone cold, do the one-to-ones and let them know that their life's going to change. You know, they're getting this really short notice. Imagine just before Christmas having to go into a business and tell 100 people of staff, which did happen. Do you know, that's something that has happened. No one takes joy in that at all, but at the end of the day, they're getting paid to do a job just like the rest of us. It's not really up to their call. And I think they really struggle with having to separate that. And over time, they do become a little bit numb to it. But from the people I meet within that space, I know it's the least enjoyable part of their job. And they're all mental for a night out. Do you know, I've been to a HR open table, and probably one of the most chaotic nights out of my full recruitment career. Part of the reason why I need to start skipping the drinks when I go out, because it was just a riot, a total riot from start to finish. But people get to let loose after being in a really serious job. And when they're at the office parties at Christmas time, they've got a certain standard that they need to oblige by. So when they get that time outside of the office, they really let their character show. And it's fun to see.
I'm sure it is. So, Lauren, tell us, what do you do then to chill, relax? What's your hobbies when you're not constantly on the phone trying to do deals?
I love spending time with my family. I've got my grandparents are one's 90 and one's in her late 80s. They're at my absolute core of my life. I probably spend most days with them, to be honest. They live around the corner from me, so sometimes I don't need to go and get a food shop. I can just kick it back with theirs. Their fridge's always full and saves me a couple of pennies. So yeah, I like spending time with them. I've got a really enjoyable social life. I just passed my driving test, so I'm getting out and I'm seeing more of Scotland, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And I love travelling. I go on holiday all the time. Not so much now that I set up Right Path. Kind of had to take a back seat with that. But 2026, I'm hoping now that we're hiring and we've got more people in the team that we can pass on responsibilities and I can get back to that.
And tell us favourite places to eat.
Favourite places to eat? Do you know, majority of the time when I go to restaurants, they're really, it's like this sort of standard, like steakhouse or something, and I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it because when you go for a client meeting and it's like, it's actually not what I want. I love seafood, so I would love going to like a sushi restaurant, especially the ones where you can choose all the different platters. I actually love Jay's Barbecue and Grill, the one in there. I love going there. Try to think where else.
Tell us favourite smash burger.
Do I like a burger, by the way? No.
Oh,
What's your favorite sushi dish?
Californian roll.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, pretty standard. Yeah, seafood's my favourite cuisine. Love a lobster. A lobster, yeah, love it.
Love the taste you got.
Well, single income, no kids, so it's a great life.
Enjoy life.
I will, I definitely will. Love, what else? I love a Nando's, I love a Sunday roast. I love cooking, actually, to be totally honest with you. I don't really eat out unless it's for clients. I love cooking. At the end of this, I'll show you some of my food and you can judge it.
wow.
Maybe get me on your podcast.
He's gonna do a review on that.
Like, come to my house in the East End. Come on.
You know my line, don't you, my intro?
I'm not saying it.
Savage. Imagine not saying it. Right. So we're going to wrap up. Before we wrap up, you want to tell everyone if they're looking for a job, they're looking for getting staff, where can they find you?
So you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram as well, brightpath.hr. And yeah, open up a Facebook. I'm sure you'll see me there too. But get in contact with me, and I would love to have a discussion about how we can help. If you're someone that's maybe related to some of the things that we've said today about, being 20 to 45, 50 and wanting a career change, or maybe you're just starting out, get in touch and I'm happy to give you my best advice.
Awesome. And Roxanne, if you want to tell everyone where to get your sauce and sandwiches.
Oh, I think that's a different conversation. Well, find us on Instagram, it's Coffee Car Day, or just search us on Google, coffeecarday.com.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so thanks guys for coming along. And that's a wrap on today's episode of a Judge Reviews podcast. Big love to the sponsors that keep the show alive. Steak Lounge and Grill, Spuddies, Mr. Chef, Beagles. Your support lets us shine a light on the food business and food culture in Scotland. I'm Jay from the Judge Reviews, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Give you a laugh when you watch it back. My water went flying over me. Wait through it. So I'm going to be covered in water. Folk are going to think I'm wet my pants.
I'm going to get Matthew to find that clip.
That'll be the blooper.
You actually see me go, what can I do it?